Hello there, friends. It's Ashley here from the Loopy Lamb and theloopylamb.com, and thanks so much for stopping by the channel today. I am going to be talking to you today about a new yarn that I stumbled across at Michael's called Loops and Threads Eco Cozy Watercolors, and I'll be sharing my review with you today on that, and I'll be showing you my swatch, talking through my experience with that as well, and just giving you a general sense of what you can expect with this yarn. And so if you are ready to get started, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to this channel. So this Loops and Threads Eco Cozy Watercolors line is new at Michael's. Now the Eco Cozy line already exists at Michael's, but now they've got this new line within Eco Cozy for the watercolors, which is a variegated yarn color line. Now, just like its regular Eco Cozy counterpart, it is made from recycled plastic. So I was excited to give this yarn a try. I really like the concept of, using something that's been recycled and can be a little bit more eco-friendly with my crafting. Now, this is a 150 gram ball or 5.3 ounces, and in one ball you're going to get 145 yards or 133 meters. Now, we've been seeing this a lot more and more lately. A lot of these yarns are now saying limited time only, and as I said, it's a Loops and Threads brand, so that means it's available exclusively at Michael's stores. Now I'll walk you quickly through the label. It says that for care, it is hand wash cold, don't bleach, you must dry it flat, do not iron, and do not dry clean. This is a size 6 super bulky weight yarn, and the recommended hook size for this is a 9mm or a M/N-13 hook. If you are a knitter, then they also recommend using a 9mm needle, which is a size US 13. In a 4x4 inch swatch, you can expect to get 10 stitches to 14 rows in that swatch. This is the colorway Violet Blooms, and as I said, I've got 2 balls of this here, and I've got my completed swatch, which we'll talk about now. So I started my swatch as I normally do with most of my swatches, and I started with a few rows of single crochet, worked into some half doubles, finished up with some double crochets before moving into a little bit of tunisian up at the top. I did use a 9mm, or in this one's labeled an N hook. This is the Streamline resin hook from Furls Crochet. I didn't find any issues working with the yarn. It slid off the hook nicely. It did have a little bit of issues with some splitting, and I'll talk to you about why that was happening in just a moment. And I found it really interesting how the color changes worked up. Now, it doesn't say that the color is hand painted onto the yarn. I'm not sure how they actually do it, but it does remind me of some of the hand painted yarns that I've used in the past, in that we do see specks of white showing through in a lot of the colors. I noticed it particularly happening a lot in the orange whenever that came up. So you do see those little tiny specks of white popping through. Now the color changes are very short in the strand, and I'll show you that here. So we've got, this is probably, probably like 4 inches of orange. Then we transition into that fuchsia color, transition into the blue, then purple, and then back to orange. And like I said, I'd wager that's probably no more than 4 inches. Now, as for the splitting issue, what was happening is there are some sections in the yarn that don't have any sort of twist. This is a roving style yarn, and it does have a twist to the actual ply. It is a very light twist, but there are sections like this part here where it has no twist at all. And in those sections, I was finding that it was splitting a little bit, and my hook would just kind of tear it up a little bit. So that was a little frustrating. It wasn't crazy, but I was finding it happening every maybe 2-3 rows or whatnot. So it wasn't excessive by any means, but just something to note. Now, because it is a roving yarn, you do have a bit of a fuzzy halo going on when you're crocheting with it, and that could lead to some pilling issues later on. So if you are washing this, and because it is hand wash, just make sure that you're not agitating it too much and you're not like rubbing your fabric together, because that will cause it to pill more so. The color changes, I feel like I see just like a lot of orange and blue. The purples just seem to fade away for me in this section of the swatch. It could be just that's what my eyes go to when I look at it, and you might see differently, but that's my perspective here, is that I just see a lot of blue and orange going on. Now, I do have a weakness for using variegated colorways in Tenation knit stitches. When I see a yarn with really short color changes like this, I always feel that it lends itself a little bit better to knit look stitches because they are so short. And when I was crocheting the stitches here, particularly in the taller stitches, I did find that sometimes I'd have color changes happening mid-stitch. And that's not my personal preference. Like I've got here, I've got a purple and orange stitch happening here. I've got a pink and orange stitch happening here, purple and orange up here. So I do really like it when I have one color per stitch. It just looks a little cleaner to me. Anyways, so I did use a 9mm Tenation hook here, also from Furls Crochet, to do some knit stitch up top. And the way the color comes out is just really pretty in the knit stitch here. And for my 2 balls of it, I'm probably going to do something with Tenation and knit stitch, just because I prefer the way the colors come out in this better than in the just standard crochet stitches here. Now, as for hook size, I personally will probably go up a hook size or 2 in order to get a better drape, because it's just not doing it for me here. I've got a little bit of drape, but not a ton, not as much as I would like. But with this yarn specifically, it is going to be a balance, trying to find that balance between that drape that I want, but without having it be having too much holes in it. If I do end up doing like a hat, for instance. And I don't remember if I mentioned, but this is 100% recycled polyester. And I just really think it's cool that these kind of yarns exist, and that people who want to perhaps limit their impact on the environment with their crafting have these options available now at like a big box store like Michael's. So I did enjoy it. It wasn't my favorite. I personally probably would only stick with the 2 balls. I might go back and try another one if they came back with a solid color. But I don't tend to use a lot of variegated colors like this. Here in Canada, it is retailing for $11.99 a ball, which isn't crazy especially since it's a recycled yarn. But there are other yarns that I'd probably go over if I was, I'd pick over this if I were sticking to a budget, just because there are other yarns that I would just prefer to work with over this. But that's my experience. If you have your own experience working with this yarn, I would love to hear what your experience has been, so that way you can share it with our community and they can learn from your experience as well. So please leave that in the comment section below. If you have any comments, other comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section below as well, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'm always happy to help. Thanks so much for watching, friends. Happy hooking, and I'll see you next time.